That's right, you beautiful bastards. It's time for another season of NFL Weekly Reviews, featuring America's favorite segment, Puppy Time. Football and puppies, you can't do any better than that. Oh yeah, all the puppies you see in my videos this season were submitted by you, the fans. Without further ado, let's begin, shall we? Buffalo versus the Rams. The Rams came into September 8th, 2022 wearing the crown and ended the day dead. What a stunning tribute to Queen Elizabeth. The real story of this game was Josh Allen, who has essentially become a human polar bear that can fire 60-mile-per-hour pinpoint rockets all over the field to destroy defenses. The game was tied at 10 at halftime thanks to Elon Musk's doppelganger Matthew Stafford connecting with deceptively athletic scrappy gym rat Cooper Kupp on a touchdown. But the second half was all Bills. Allen fired 2 touchdown passes and ran for another while Stafford faltered, ending the game with 3 interceptions and 7 sacks taken, leading to a decisive 31-10 Bills win. Baltimore versus the Jets. To sum up this game succinctly, a bunch of Jets got destroyed on their home turf by flying visitors on September 11th. Well, actually, when one puts it like that, it sounds really bad. Not since the 2012 playoffs has Joe Flacco done so much to help the Ravens win a game. The problem is that he plays for the Jets now. Current Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson was on point, throwing 3 touchdowns and leading the team to a decisive 24-9 win over the NFL's version of a Make-A-Wish kid. Beating up on the Jets really doesn't tell much about a franchise, but Lamar has now won 76% of his regular season starts. Pay the man, you fucking morons. Cleveland versus Carolina. Go figure. The one time America wants the Browns to lose, they fucking win. For the first time since 2004, they begin a season 1-0. This is obviously a result of trading for Deshaun Watson, whose leadership and integrity is already turning the franchise around. Speaking of Browns quarterbacks who #keep pounding, Baker Mayfield was so close to getting revenge on the team that discarded him for a sexual deviant, leading Carolina back from a 20-7 deficit to begin the fourth quarter to take a 24-23 lead with a minute left. Unfortunately for Baker, this was enough time for boring-ass Jacoby Brissett to get Cleveland into field goal range, where something called Cade York boomed a game-winning 58-yard field goal as time expired. Indianapolis versus Houston. What looked at one point like a certain blowout win for the Texans ended up becoming the worst thing in sports, a tie. Why the hell does the NFL still have ties in 2022? What is the point of playing 70 minutes just to not declare a winner? Just keep playing until somebody wins. It's not that complicated. Fuck you, Goodell. Living up to his first name, O.J. Howard pierced through the Colts defense for 2 touchdown catches to give Houston a 20-3 lead heading into the fourth, but then 28-3 survivor Matt Ryan led Indy back to send the game into overtime, where he set up his kicker Rodrigo Vanderjagt for a game-winning 42-yard field goal attempt. But old Roddy boy whiffed badly. Houston got one more chance to win, but had to punt, leading us to the 2020 final score. No offense to people with blurred vision. Pittsburgh versus Cincinnati. On his very first pass of the new season, superstar quarterback Joe Burrow threw a touchdown to give the Steelers a 7-0 lead. Burrow finished with 5 turnovers on the day, but despite his persistent shittiness, Pittsburgh couldn't pull away, giving the former Home Alone star every chance to come back. Twice in the fourth quarter, Pittsburgh had the ball up 20-14 before punting. Burrow finally got Cincy in the end zone to tie the game with 2 seconds left, but Pittsburgh blocked the extra point to send the game into overtime. Tom Brady would have willed his kicker to make the extra point. Just saying. In overtime, Pittsburgh punted, then Burrow led a long drive that ended with a missed 29-yard field goal. Then lover of titties, Mitch Trubisky set up Pittsburgh with a 55-yard field goal, which Pittsburgh kicker Chris Boswell missed off the crossbar. Cincy punted again before Trubisky set up a 53-yard game-winning field goal attempt, which Boswell made as time expired to give Pittsburgh a 23-20 win. Get me a cigarette. Green Bay versus Minnesota. This game speaks to a troubling tendency Aaron Rodgers has had throughout his career, one that has popped up in the playoffs repeatedly. Unless he's playing the Bears, when Rodgers gets down multiple scores, he shuts down mentally. He'll usually throw up one YOLO bomb downfield as a last resort, then he becomes hesitant and indecisive the rest of the way. This leads to drive-killing sacks. He also becomes ultra-conservative with his throws to preserve his touchdown-interception ratio from further harm. Last year, we saw him vomit all over himself in Week 1 and still win MVP, so I'm not dumb enough to think Green Bay's season is over in September. No, I know Green Bay seasons in the Rodgers era don't end until mid to late January. As for Minnesota, Justin Jefferson is a monster, as this 23-7 win proved, and I look forward to Kirk Cousins finishing this season with 5,000 yards, 50 touchdown passes, and an 8-9 record. New York Giants versus Tennessee. Congrats, Giants fans, you finally won a season opener for the first time since 2016. Maybe hiring Larry the Cable Guy as your head coach was the right move. Tennessee jumped out to a 13-0 halftime lead, and all seemed seemed right in the world. Then, premarital sex haver Saquon Barkley ran for a score. Dan Jones threw a 65-yard touchdown to tie it at 13. Then, Ryan Tannehill responded with a touchdown pass of his own to give Tennessee a 20-13 lead, which they held until the last minute of the game. Jones had his obligatory terrible interception and lost fumble, but he did come through in the clutch, throwing a touchdown and go-ahead two-point conversion to Barkley to take a 21-20 lead with a minute left. Tannehill then set up his obese kicker Randy Bullock with a 47-yard field goal to win the game, but he failed to inspire Bullock the way Tom Brady inspired Adam Vinatieri, and Bullock missed it, sealing the loss for Tennessee. Mark my words, the Giants could end up being the most dangerous 5-12 team in NFL history this year. LA Chargers versus Las Vegas. Justin Herbert understands what the people want to see. They don't want to watch a quarterback throw a bunch of pussy-ass checkdowns. No, we want our quarterbacks to play like men, goddammit. Fire that fucking ball downfield into tight windows for touchdowns. And boy, did Herbert deliver in this one, throwing 3 touchdowns in a 24-19 win. Still, despite Herbert's greatness, the Chargers were lucky to hang on, no offense to Aaron Hernandez. Derek Carr threw 3 interceptions, but also threw 2 touchdowns, including one to new addition Devontae Adams, to make it 24-19 with 4 minutes left. Carr then got the ball back with 3.5 minutes left with a chance to win, a situation he's surprisingly done pretty well in throughout his career, but this time it ended with him getting sacked by Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack on 3rd and 4th down to seal the game for the Chargers. Kansas City versus Arizona. When Patrick Mahomes is on his A game, you really just have to bend over and hope he uses some KY jelly to make the experience less painful for you. The poor Cardinals defense had no chance, as Kermit tore them up for 360 yards and 5 touchdowns in an easy 44-21 KC win. The game was really never close, as KC had a commanding 37-7 lead entering the 4th. You got the feeling if Mahomes really wanted to, he could have thrown for 7 or 8 touchdowns. He won't match Brady's rings or overall resume, but when Mahomes is at his best like he was in this game, he's better than any other quarterback to ever play, and he's about to turn 27 in a few days. That spells trouble for the rest of the league. Miami versus New England. It turns out that when you have a second-year quarterback coming off of a solid rookie season, putting his development into the hands of Joe Judge and Matt Patricia is pretty fucking stupid. Worries about New England's offense permeated all throughout the preseason, and this dastardly 20-7 loss just made it worse. Once Miami went up 10-0 in the second quarter off of a fumble return touchdown, it never felt like New England had a shot at winning the game. This never would have been the feeling with Tom Brady at quarterback. As much as I hate to admit it, it's clear at this point that Brady was most responsible for the Pats dynasty, and that Belichick without Brady as a head coach is just an introverted Rex Ryan. Belichick can coach up a defense as well as anybody, but he is clueless offensively. Tua had a nice touchdown throw, and women's rights activist Tyreek Hill played well, but I'm still convinced Miami is going nowhere with mid like Tua at quarterback. New Orleans versus Atlanta. Matt Ryan is gone, and the Falcons still can't help themselves when it comes to blowing seemingly insurmountable leads. I know that nobody outside of Louisiana and Georgia gives a shit about the New Orleans-Atlanta rivalry, but this game is the type of shit that makes great rivalries. Atlanta was in control for 3.5 quarters, taking a 26-10 lead behind steady quarterback play and a very effective ground game. But then, they shriveled up. Groping enthusiast Jameis Winston fired back-to-back touchdown passes to slant boy Mike Thomas, but a missed 2-point conversion still gave Atlanta a 26-24 lead with 3:38 left. But Atlanta punted. Then Winston got New Orleans into field goal range to set up a 51-yard game-winning field goal to take a 27-26 lead with 23 seconds left. Marcus Mariota then did enough to set up a potential game-winning 63-yard field goal from Younghoe Koo, but it was blocked as time expired to give New Orleans the win. If you put Steph Curry on the Falcons, they would never lose a game. Atlanta won't recover as a franchise until every single person from that February 2017 night is gone. I'm talking players, coaches, front office, ownership, ball boys, water boys, the whole 9 yards. Washington versus Jacksonville. Not to brag, but Washington's offensive coordinator Scott Turner follows me on Twitter, so I like to think that I'm responsible for Carson Wentz throwing for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns in this exciting 28-22 win over the Jacksonville Kitty Cat. This was a game of runs, no offense to those battling explosive diarrhea. Washington had a 14-3 halftime lead, but Jacksonville went on a 19-0 run to take a 22-14 lead in the fourth quarter before Wentz led multiple touchdown drives to take a 28-22 lead with 1:46 left. The highly hyped Trevor Lawrence had a chance to steal a win, but instead threw a game-losing interception. I got nothing personal against Lawrence, but man, the results so far in his NFL career are beyond underwhelming. Chicago versus San Francisco. Playing on a soaked field thanks to all the females in attendance squirting non-stop at the sight of Italian god Jimmy Garoppolo on the sidelines, the Bears pulled out an ugly-ass 19-10 win over the 49ers. Before the game, these two fan bases were bragging about which of their young quarterbacks were better, when, in reality, they both sucked. Justin Fields sucked a little less in this game, throwing 2 touchdowns, but he still wasn't anything special overall. Trey Lance Giants, meanwhile, looked completely lost, and Kyle Shanahan is now 8-29 as 49ers head coach without Garoppolo starting. I do wonder how long Shanny will put up with Lance playing like shit when he knows Garoppolo is good enough to win games while also being disarmingly handsome. Or will the 49ers trade Jimmy to the Cowboys? We will have to wait and see. Bears fans, you have 1 week to enjoy this before Aaron Rodgers tears you a new butthole on Monday Night Football. Philadelphia versus Detroit. As an Eagles fan, I think I have a read on Jalen Hurts now. He is Diet Lamar Jackson. He's an absolutely amazing runner, but he still has flaws like leaving clean pockets for no reason and struggling in pure passing situations. It's clear that Hurts is good enough to beat bad teams like Detroit and struggle against good teams. Although in this one, it got a little too close for comfort at the end. Philly had a 38-21 lead entering the fourth quarter, but they only won by a score of 38-35, and they needed to convert a 4th and 1 near midfield to seal the game. This will not get it done against good teams. Philly's defense was atrocious, which could be a major problem moving forward. Dan Campbell is going to have an incredibly long and successful career as a motivational speaker once he gets fired from Detroit in a few years. Tampa Bay versus Dallas. Did you know that Tom Brady is back for his 23rd season? Good Lord, I just came in my thong. Last season, Dallas had the #1 offense in the league, but in this game, Brady's leadership and defensive capabilities shut them down and held them to just 3 puny points. However, Brady himself was pretty pedestrian in this one, not really doing much outside of one nice throw to Julio towards the end of the first half. Far too old looking to be just 27, Leonard Fournette was Tampa's best offensive player, running for 127 yards. Mike Evans had a great one-handed touchdown grab on a shitty Brady throw, and Dallas never threatened in the second half of this easy 19-3 win for Tampa. To make matters worse for Dallas, Dak Prescott broke his hand and will miss a couple months. Dallas' season is effectively over after just 1 game, and we will still have to watch these assholes on primetime every other week. Please pray for me. Seattle versus Denver. Russell Wilson returned to face the same team he once won a Super Bowl with. Nobody will ever forget how he watched the Legion of Boom dominate a legendary Broncos offense in Super Bowl 48. As for this game, Geno Smith had one of the best days of his disappointing career, throwing 2 touchdowns and just 3 incompletions. The first half saw most of the fireworks, no offense to Jason Pierre-Paul, with Seattle taking a 17-13 lead into halftime. The second half saw only a Denver field goal to make it 17-16, but Wilson got the ball back with 4 minutes left and drove Denver to around midfield, where on 4th and 5 with 20 seconds left, new Broncos head coach Nathaniel Hackett decided to go for a 64-yard field goal instead of relying on Russ to get the first down. Denver kicker Brandon McManus missed to seal the win for Seattle. Shout out to Brandy Love doppelganger Pete Carroll on starting 1-0. And now, folks, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. It is with great joy that I present to you all Puppy Time. Hey there, thanks for watching. If you haven't yet, please press that subscribe button. It would really help me forget that I have a very small penis.